Uh, well, this one is in English. So this is Jorge Herrera, and I'm back here with you. We are reading the book Building Your Warehouse of Wealth by Nelson Nash, and we are in chapter 2, and we are reading part 2 of chapter 2. What we read in chapter 1 was how powerful these policies are on long term, and I show you this graph which shows that for 52 years that the policy was in force at the time that Nelson presented this case, he was paying $388 and 41 cents, and he was getting a tremendous amount of money back after 52 years. Uh, he was getting 10 times the dividends or in dividends the amount that he was paying on the policy. So the year that he presented that he got more money was on 2005, where he got $5,000 by putting $388.41. From 2006 to 2009, he got four checks from 3,000 $3,877.70 to 4,015 and 55. Now, in these 4 years, the graph shows that there was a little less growth than on year fifth, but it is because the insurance company didn't reuse the dividends. So, or actually, there was not an addition to these checks of the interest. So that's why it shows a little less than in 2005. So you can see that they are very powerful, but we're going to add use of the policy. We're going to use the money in the policy to get more growth, and that's what Nelson shows here. The next part, we're going to talk about some deals that Nelson was able to put together because he had liquidity, because he had easy access to money. So the first part, we ended up at the point where one of his fellow pilots at the National Guard, he got between the rock and a hard place. So he got in economic difficulties. So he needed to raise some money. He knew that Nelson was educated as a forester and might be interested in buying the 100 acres of timberland that he owned in northwest Alabama. So he said, I'll sell it to you for $50 per acre, and I will finance it for you for 10 years. I knew that was a good deal and took it and made monthly payments to him. This was not a speculative venture, it was property that I knew something about. Remember, I'm educated as a forester and work in that field for 10 years. About 18 months later, he called me again and requested that we get together to talk. He said, I underestimated my need for cash. If you will just pay off the debt on that land now, I will discount it 25 cents on the dollar. I knew that was a good deal. So I replied, Stand real still? I will be right back. I went directly to the regional State Farm office and said, Give me a $3,500 policy loan quickly before this young man changes his mind. In less than an hour, I had a check in his hand. Bottom line, I had less than $38 per acre invested in that land. In 1985, I sold that land for $500 per acre, and I financed it for 10 years at 15% interest. With that income, I bought more life insurance. All those premiums become cost basis in the new policy, and I will get it back tax free when I decide to draw passive income dividends from it. During the following years, I made two more investments from policy loans on this policy. The results were not quite as good, but they were highly profitable. These facts are not seen as you look at the graph. You have to add these results to what I shown on the graph to understand the total power of dividend paying whole life insurance. This is what building your warehouse of wealth is all about. You have almost immediate access to money to take advantage to opportunities that will surely appear. In fact, if you have a really available pool of cash, opportunities will track you down. Does having money safe and available when you need it take away any of your options? And that's a quote from Bill Lenderman. Out in the big wide world, there are those who say, but those dividends are not guaranteed. Let's look at the facts. Once per year, the directors of the insurance company meet and declare what the dividends scale for the next year will be. This is allocated to all the policies on an equitable basis. It is guaranteed for the next year. It cannot go backward like your Enron stock, your Welcome stock, your Global Crossing stock, etc. The only dividends that are not guaranteed are those in the future, beyond that point. If you elect to have the annual dividend to buy additional paid up insurance at no cost, and regardless of your health condition at that time, what you have is an ever compounded increase in cash value with no tax consequences. Now, go back and study the graph of this policy. Note that the dividend in 1990, there was a precipitous drop in interest rates that year, but notice that the dividends the following year went up. In 1992, it went up again. It leveled off, it leveled off in 1993 and went down slightly in 1994, then continued its upward trend. There were minor corrections in 99, '04, and '06, but the upward trend is evident. I remind you that this policy has been in force since 1959. Since that time, there have been all sorts of changes in interest rates. When I moved to Birmingham, Alabama in 1963, our mortgage rate on the house was 5.25% interest. If I wanted a new mortgage 20 years later, the rate would have been 16%. Now, we have been experiencing low interest rates for the past few years. This resulted in people increasing their debt and decreasing their savings. The net result, the banking function became the province of the bankers. And the worldwide problem today is the unbelievable amount of debt. Yet, with all these aberrations, this policy has been consistently improving. Question: do you think interest rates on house mortgages will remain this low? I think not. They are already beginning to increase significantly. Reality is settling in. The fool's paradise is coming to an end. It always does. Shortly before I bought this policy from my brother, I was called upon by a representative of a financial service company, who shall remain nameless, who showed me a mountain wave graph of lies about how good I would have done in the stock market if I had put $10,000 into it 20 years before. Do you have $10,000 to put into such a plan today? He asked. No, I replied. He responded, don't worry about it. We have an accumulation plan in which you can put $50 per month, $600 per year, and in time it will become 10,000. At that time, we can put it into one of our mutual funds and you will be set for life. I indulge. The agent made me initial the point on his projection at which my outlay would equal its value. It was 8 years. So I was paying $600 per year in that plan and $388.40 to the State Farm policy. That's $1,000 per year, 10% of my income at that time. Remember, it was my next older brother that sold me the State Farm policy. He knew about the $600 that I was paying into the other plan. What his brother had suggested that I pay the entire $1,000 into the State Farm policy. Then the dividend check that I am now receiving, it would be over $10,000 per year. And I would have had more money in the interim years to take advantage of investment that would have come along. If in this scenario I have both paid up additional insurance with the dividends for all the years of this policy, then the dividends would have been $12,000 per year. Remember, what Nelson can show was $5,000 per year. I mean, dividends of 3,800 to 4,000. So if he would have done what we just read, would have been getting dividends of $12,000 per year. Furthermore, brother knew that I was running heavy equipment, Caterpillar tractors, to clear land for three growing purposes in my business. I was paying a finance company $1,500 per month on heavy equipment. That's $18,000 per year. Where did the finance company get the money to lend me? From insurance companies. Finance companies buy blocks of money from insurance companies fragment those blocks, and sell the money to consumers who agree to pay back the finance company monthly over a period of time, adding a higher interest rate, of course. Brother should have taught me to pay $18,000 per year in life insurance premiums to accumulate a pool of capital from which eventually I could finance all my equipment. There was no way I could do that immediately since my income was $10,000 per year. But he could have sold me, say, four times the amount that he did, and in few years I could have been rid of one of those tractor payments forever. I could have been making what the finance company was making of me, tax free, for the balance of my life. Once a person gets past the point of financing one item in his scenario, he can accelerate the process very quickly. In about 15 years, a business person can be totally self sufficient. I know of one case where a business owner got rid of the banks in only 3.5 years, and the amount of the payoff was over $500,000. Question: why didn't brother teach me these things? Answer: he didn't know. Question: why didn't he know? Answer: State Farm didn't teach him. Well, why didn't they teach him? All because of how they thought. All the qualities of dividend paying whole life insurance that infinite banking concepts teaches have been there for 200 years, but the insurance company actually probably didn't know about it. Brother died on the first day of January 1981 at age 52. I'm 81, and at this point in time, so in not too distant future, I will be reunited with him in the hereafter. This early existence is simply training camp for the eternal. When we get over the pleasantries of meeting again, then I'm going to have a serious discussion with him about this matter. Why didn't you sell me much life insurance that you did? A question comes to mind. Do you think Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman have a clue about this type of dividend paying whole life insurance? I don't think so. So, but they are making the big bucks on TV and otherwise bad mouthing whole life insurance. It is true. Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman have made a living selling people on investing on Casino Wall Street because permanent life insurance and specifically dividend paying whole life insurance is a bad place to put money, according to them. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like those guys, Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman. They have done good. They have been good helping people getting out of debt and living within their means. But they have made really bad by bad mouthing dividend paying whole life insurance when they don't know anything about it. So if you want to talk about any of these chapters, contact me, put your question under the videos that you are looking at, or contact me at jorgeeherrera.com. That's a spelling in Spanish. Let me spell it in English. jorgeeherrera.com. So you can contact me there, and we can talk about dividend paying whole life insurance. I will answer your questions. I am able to build your policies if you feel at this point that they can benefit you. So contact me and I'll help you setting up this powerful warehouse of wealth. Talk to you next time. Talk to you on Friday with this second part in Spanish.